Hi, Steve Chrysler here from Bookkeeping Life. Today I want to talk to you about whether or not you should do taxes as well as bookkeeping. So if you've just starting out as a bookkeeper, or you've been doing bookkeeping for a while and you do not offer tax services, you might want to. And so here's a couple rundowns. I get this question a lot, whether or not if you're just starting out as a bookkeeper, whether or not you'll be able to make it as a bookkeeper if you do not do taxes. The answer is yes. I know lots and lots of bookkeepers that do really, really well, and they don't have anything to do with tax. They don't want to touch it. Then there's a lot of bookkeepers that also do taxes, and I know a lot of people that do taxes that do not want to do bookkeeping. So it's all over the board, and so don't let that idea stop you. You should have a good desire to do taxes, because there's a good amount of information that you're going to have to learn to be able to do taxes. Each state has its own requirements whether or not to be able to legally do taxes in the state. Here in California, there's a couple different routes you can take, but I imagine every state has its own regulations about whether or not certain education and licensing requirements that are required for your state. So you'd want to check with your state on what those are. So, and just to see, before you start offering that service, you need to probably be licensed to do it. So, and then there's ongoing education that you have to meet. So it's not necessary. That's one first thing you need to know. You can be a successful bookkeeper without doing taxes. There's plenty of them. And if you do want to do it, you need to look into how to do it, how to get licensed for it in your state. It's a state licensing thing, and then see if you want to meet those requirements before you start offering that service. Okay, so you want to make sure you're doing it above the board. Okay, now let's say you do want to do it. Let's say you've checked those boxes and you do want to do it. Here's 3 reasons why it would be a good idea. One is the money is good. If you've ever paid for your own tax return to be prepared, you can see how much you've paid, and you might have an idea how long it took them to do it. If you sat across from them while they did it, do you know how long it takes them to do it? It doesn't take very long to do a simple tax return. They can get very complicated and take many hours to do. So there's tax returns that take minutes and tax returns that take hours. I've been doing bookkeeping and taxes both for about 20 years, and they are all over the board. There's really simple ones and really complicated ones. But the money, if you average it out per hour, is really good. You make a really good money doing taxes. That leads to number 2. So number 1 reason is the money is good. Number 2 is, and it relates to number 1, that money that you receive is recurring. It occurs every year. So as every year goes by, people need to get their taxes done. Businesses need to get their taxes done, so that it's not just a one-time. You get a client and it's a one-time deal, one time to make money from that client. It's money that comes around every year. And from my experience, is that most people, once they start working with a tax preparer, they do come back the next year. There's always a small percentage of drop off. They may move, they may have not liked the return they got, the refund they got, or the amount owed that they didn't like. But so sometimes people move on from that. But generally speaking, a very small percentage of them move on each year. So once you get a client, it's a good chance that you'll see them the next year. So that recurring money is really nice, and your business will grow and grow and grow as the years go by. So it's really nice. So the money's good. That's number 1. 2, it comes around every year. 3 is there's an overlap between you went from just being a bookkeeper, now you're a bookkeeper and a tax preparer. That's 2 avenues for revenue. It's not like having 2 different businesses. It's like having one business with 2 different services. So when I say there's overlap, what I mean by that is if you get a bookkeeping client, there's a chance that they'll also become a tax client. And if you get a tax client, there's a good chance, or a chance, that they'll also become a bookkeeping client. I've had lots of this has happened lots of times in my career where I get a bookkeeping client, and then they say, "Oh, well, you might as well, you do taxes?" "Yeah, I do taxes." "Oh, you should just do our corporate tax return as well." And then they might have me actually do their personal tax returns. So they went from being just a bookkeeping client to I do their bookkeeping, I do their business taxes, I do their personal taxes. And so it grows. It can morph into more business, and it can go the other way as well, where I'll get a tax client and they say, let's say I get an individual tax client, I do their personal tax return, then they have a business on the side, and so they have me do their personal tax return, their business tax return, then they have me do their bookkeeping as well. So, and then I'll have individuals that I've been working with for years, and then all of a sudden they open up a business, and then they know that I do individual tax or business tax returns and business bookkeeping as well. So it can grow that way. So there's a good overlap and cross promoting. So a lot of good reasons to do taxes if that interests you. There is a lot to taxes. Simple tax returns, there's not a whole lot to it, but there's still a good amount that you're going to have to learn. And then you can just limit the types of tax return, just like bookkeeping. You can limit the types of and the complexity of the tax returns that you do. You don't have to do every tax return that comes your way. You can turn them away and refer them to somebody else. And I do that. Even though I've been doing taxes for 20 years, there are situations that I don't see all the time that are not in my wheelhouse, and I do not hesitate to say, you know what, this is something that I don't see often enough to where I feel comfortable doing it for you, but I know a CPA that could do that for you. So, and then I have a CPA that I usually refer those types of situations to, who's been doing taxes for probably 30 years more than I have. So, an old timer. So, it's good to have somebody like that too. So you're not just turning away work, you're just referring them to the best solution for them, and they appreciate that. So you might still do their bookkeeping and you might do their individual tax returns, but their complicated business return, you refer to another CPA or another tax preparer. And you do not have to be a CPA, you do not have to be an EA to do taxes. Every state is different, but no state is going to say that you have to be a CPA or EA to do taxes. So again, you can just look into your state. You might just call the local H&R Block and ask them what the requirements are. And I do know that places like that, they offer yearly classes that you can take and get certified, and then you can even go to work for them if you wanted to gain some experience, and then start doing it on your own, under your own company. So there's different ways to do that, but it is a good idea for the money. That's number one. For the recurring revenue, the money that just keeps coming around and around and around as the years quickly go by, and the overlap and cross promotion. So when you're advertising or marketing yourself for bookkeeping, you're also doing it for taxes. You get to do both at once. And so it's like going fishing. Instead of having one line in the water, you have two. So catch more fish. All right. I hope this helps, and give it a try. If you have any questions, just shoot me an email, steve@bookkeepinglife.com, or you can leave a comment below. If you like this, please like, share, and if you're not a subscriber, subscribe. All right. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions. Take care. I hope you have a great day. Bye.